Look, you can actually create those. You can create those tornado things. Would have thought you can even create those smaller ones. You see, look, you only need spinning air coming from two directions, right? You can do it. It needs to be in a supercell thunderstorm, so there needs. You have to have a supercell thunderstorm, but if there is a thunderstorm that's supercelled, then you can create these. It's almost like waiting for an aurora, you know. When an aurora happens, you can take photographs of it. When a supercell thunderstorm happens, you can do these. I would have thought that. I'll tell you how I would try doing it. Obviously, you need billions or trillions at their disposal. Putin could probably have a crack at it. What I'd do if I had trillions at my disposal and, ex-multi-billionaires, companies smuggled through Goldfinger's separate machine parts overseas, you could have, you basically just need two giant wind machine, basically, like it spins air, which, like, hovercrafts have got similar on the back of them. So something like what's on the back of a hovercraft, but you could basically have like a funnel cannon, like you need like a huge, massive. I mean, probably like these wind turbines that we've got now, but they collect wind. What happens if you were actually putting the power into it? But they take a lot of electricity. They generate electricity, but how much electricity would you have to put into something the opposite way around? Quite a lot. But if you had enough power, you got nuclear submarines, didn't you? The nuclear powered. So what you do is, anyway, you can get fans that spin air and turn air and start it spinning round, right? So what you'd have to do is you could have two. I think you could have two. If you've got a supercell thunderstorm, right, then you can make these things. What you do is, if you got a supercell thunderstorm, then you say, right, we can make one, right? If you had a target that you wanted to target, what you could do is you could have one submarine in one position and then have another submarine in the opposite side, right? And then they both, if you look at this diagram here, it shows you, right? Now, the air has got to be a certain temperature. Now, I just realised that they've got those new lasers, haven't they? Like when I've seen them, they've got all these new laser weapons, basically, right, that are super hot laser, right? So if you, if you had like a very powerful fan, it could be mounted from a submarine, which can start turning air to get it to spin, right? And this air has got to be a certain temperature, so you could fire the super laser down the middle of it to warm the air up, right? If you basically fire the super laser, right, straight down the middle, in fact, it could be behind the laser could be behind the fan, right? And then what you're doing then is you're heating up the air that's spinning, and the other spinning air has to be cool. So the submarine in the other position would have to be doing it with cold air, right, and spinning a certain way like this. And then when these meet together, it creates this thing. But this you have to do it. You can only do it if it's in the supercell thunderstorm. But that is like the kind of like that's the prerequisite for being able to do it. I would have thought you can do it. It shows you how it happens here. You can definitely turn air. You can definitely get air spinning, and if it's the right temperature. In fact, I would have thought because they have got those lasers now. You've probably seen them in some videos. Like it's like the new weapon. They don't bother with artillery anymore or like physical. They've started going on to laser heat weapons. So I would have thought that because they can actually generate extreme heat, they probably because you can fire a beam that's so hot, or possibly even like, a cool one, then you've got an advantage because it's probably going to be even hotter than in the normal circumstances when these tornadoes form. So you can probably, if you can't get quite as much spin on the air or as much power as what you can naturally, you get it even hotter. I would have thought you could do it, but I mean, that's how, who's tried it out, have you got to, firstly, you need to experiment in supercell thunderstorms, right? Anyone here know anyone who's got enough money to experiment in supercell thunderstorms out at sea? Anyone? Or in Area 69 or whatever it's called, Area 51 or whatever. We're not allowed in there, so we don't know, And if you do know, then we'd have to kill you. So that's how the Americans play it, innit? We could tell you, but I'd have to kill you. Who's got enough money to mess around with this? Branson on his island, is that why his mansion set on fire? You can only really do it if you've got not even million. If you win the lottery with millions, you can't experiment doing this. I wouldn't have thought. You've got to. If you've got if you've got boats, if you've got big ships. I mean, what about those massive freight those super freight tanker things, those shipping companies have got super tankers, but they're usually busy delivering massive cargo things, unless you've got a spare one you can send out to mess around with. It's big boys' toys, isn't it? At the end of the day, we're talking about big boys' toys. We're talking like, military budget. We're talking like beyond leaders, military style campaign. Beyond leaders with trillions at their disposal, and can we think of anyone, has anyone got any ideas, just a minute, that's funny, I've only heard one person say that, it happens to be Charles III, just a minute, a military style campaign, with trillions at its disposal, beyond leaders in the corporate private sector. Who have I heard say that before? There's only one person that I've heard say that. They've got trillions at their disposal in a military-style campaign beyond leaders in the corporate private sector. There's only one person who's even said that. So, this is it, and then, so, who messes around in supercell thunderstorms with two large heavyweight vessels with big boys' toys, tornado spinning things and freaking lasers, let me guess. Is this Mike Scott Ritterno? He's just had his house searched by the American military just for talking on TV programs, John McGregor, possibly, Colonel John McGregor, does he know anything about this, or is it even more secret, Mr. Catamaran, But just a minute, someone who's got a global freight shipping company, with supertanker containers, and he's got a couple of spare on a Wednesday afternoon. You can spend 3 weeks out at sea dicking around with them with super lasers, But usually shipping freight companies with spare tankers free for a weekend don't have super heat lasers to mess around with as well. I don't know, maybe Elon Musk's got a contract with the American military government, he's got a couple of billion messing around, You want a game of tennis on a weekend in a supercell thunderstorm, Elon? What are you doing on Tuesday at 6 o'clock, Elon? Fancy messing around in a, it's like, whoa, it's Mark Zuckerberg! Wow! That's the most badass thing I've ever seen in my life. A spotty teenager picking off Donald Trump with a rifle without a scope on it. That's the most badass thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm Mark Zuckerberg. Wow. Mark's seen a lot then in Hawaii. The guy who lives in Hawaii, North Shore, in super wave. Mark Zuckerberg's easily pleased, He lives in Hawaii, they've got North Shore with the most intense, waves ever, and, surf culture, get me coconut piccolada, scary waves, scary thunderstorms. But yet, the most badass thing that Mark's ever seen in his life is a spotty teenager picking a pop shooter off at Donald Trump. What does your local billionaire do on a Tuesday afternoon at 6 o'clock? We don't know. What's Elon Musk up to with his secret entry card? Swipe down into the back cave, ding. But Elon can't tell us because it's under his defense contract. It's Elon's secret defense contract with in NASA on his new Optimus robot. This is it. I would have thought. It's possible. You can do it. It depends what you've got to toy around with. I would have thought though, according to this, if you are in a supercell thunderstorm, you can create one of those tornadoes because you just need two huge fans at two positions with certain heat mixed with cold together. I definitely know you can fire the heat laser. I don't know about the range. I don't know how long range you can have fire cold air though. But I would have thought that. Oh no, you can have liquid nitrogen, can't you? I suppose you could have. It steams up, doesn't it? It kind of like gives off a kind of like. Sort of like boils over, doesn't it? All the mist comes off it. Maybe they could kind of. I would have thought if you had a massive fan blowing air, I would have thought you could have like a big liquid nitrogen kind of vat thing behind it, and as all those mist, that kind of steam comes off it, it would probably take that up into the. You could blow that. That would create really, really cold air because it's liquid nitrogen is like ridiculous temperature. I'd have thought you could do it. I don't know if anyone has. I would have thought so. They seem to. Effectively, this is cool. You got to have cool air and warm air. It's got to spin the right way. But you can do it. And then the thing is. This type of weapon is like if you don't want people to know that it was a weapon, because the whole point of it is like you're going to do it at night time and no one's going to see you. It's like stealth, isn't it, Because if you shoot someone with a torpedo, it's like, being shot by a torpedo. Well, who fired it? Well, we've got to find out, you know when you've been shot by a torpedo, there's some enemy firing a torpedo, right? But if, there's just, cool. This is like stealth, isn't it? It's the whole point of stealth. No one knew that two submarines popped up, and I wonder. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder how they do. You can probably do the lightning as well because you've got to attract. You could probably do it with two submarines because you've got to have electricity for attracting and one for. You could probably create an arc of electricity between two submarines. I wouldn't be surprised if that Branson storm thing with that lightning strike wasn't somehow some gadgety thing. But then again, some people think there was an insurance job by Branson. He burned his own island down so he could just claim an insurance and rebuild it again.